What's up, everyone? Good morning. Good morning. Welcome, Don D. First one in the chat. Welcome. Good morning to any and everybody that's coming in to another episode of Snake Cinema Podcast. Mm, It is chilly this morning here in Memphis, which isn't a bad thing. I am tired of the I'm tired of the heat, the 100% humidity. It's going crazy. What up, Ken? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. What? Nicole, good morning. Thank you. Thank you for tapping in. We are on episode 8, I believe, of Snake Cinema Podcast. I can't believe I'm already at 8 episodes. Time flies when you're having fun. Waiting for a few more people to trickle down. But get some let's go ahead and get the sponsor out the way. This podcast is brought to you by Mutation Station and Lucy Land Ball Pythons, the best rodent breeders in the Mid South, in my opinion. Argue with your mother. And they also have some dope snakes, especially Lucy Land Kayla. She has bred some fire spot nose clutches lately. It has a lot of other genes in them, but I just can't remember everything. But and they are she is tapping into a lot of things, and she's getting into the arachnids, the tarantulas, and if y'all ever follow Lucy Land on Instagram, it was like last week she just was walking in a room and she randomly pulled a tarantula out her pocket, which was hilarious. Everybody was laughing. But yes, this podcast is brought to you by Mutation Station and Lucy Land Ball Pythons. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Nicole. Good morning, y'all. Good morning. So today is October 7th. This is the first Saturday in October, and kicking off this entire month on the podcast, celebrating all things spooky, horror related. Um, like this episode is touching on true crime, which is pretty much horror reality. And also, at the end, I'll be sharing some of my favorite horror movies, some old school, some current, um, and briefly talk about why I like them so much. Um, and then next week we're gonna be tapping in to horror television. When I say horror, there are different types of genres. It could be slashers, it could be psychological thrillers, it could be comedy, horror comedy. Y'all remember those scary movie parody films back in the day. So when I say horror, I just mean the broad spectrum, but I will be touching on different genres. So it's not just, oh, Jason Voorhees slashing people. Like, no, it's not just that. I watch all kinds of horror. Um, but today, like I said, today is true crime, and the ethics, the good and the bad, the ugly of it. And so I'm excited to talk about that because I'm very conflicted. I'm very, very conflicted because I like true crime, but I've noticed a recent trend lately that has been very, I would say, tasteless, from certain creators, people who create true crime stuff, and why certain true crime things that comes out I just don't support. I don't even watch. Um, and so let's see. Is there any more housekeeping? Oh yes. If you have not watched yesterday's vlog that I posted, I actually got 4 new snakes. One from Mike and Hurst Collectors. That's the vlog that I dropped yesterday. A lot of y'all have watched it, and I got great feedback on that vlog. So thank y'all so much for supporting. Um, I truly, truly appreciate that. And she's beautiful. I love her. And for those who don't know, I got from Herb Collectors a pastel pied, a female, and she's gonna be big in my pied projects. 2025. Hopefully, we get started on that. I just gotta wait on these babies to grow, but I'm not rushing them. It might be 2026 breeding season before, I ever introduce those snakes, but into the breeding program. But I'm super, super excited. And also, actually, I ended up getting 4 snakes in 1 week. I and no, none of these were impulse buys. Two were a surprise, but none were impulse buys. I've been paying off on payment plans for the past 2 or 3 months, um, on certain things that I wanted, as far as the foundations of my future projects. And so I've been like for the at least since August, I've been paying on payment plans from different people, and the 4 snakes that showed up just happened to all got paid off close to the same time. So the breeders was ready to ship them off. And so it was like Tuesday I got a snake, Wednesday I got a snake, and then Friday I got a snake. The FedEx lady, by the time I showed up on Friday, she didn't even ask for my ID. She just went and got the box. And it was so funny. She said, "I saw you in the parking lot." And I was like, "Yeah, it's one of those weeks where you already know why I'm here." But it was real funny. But yeah, I got so individual vlogs introducing those snakes will be coming soon. Besides Mike from Her Collectors, I got Powerhouse Blackhead Male from Tommy over at Inky Clouds. Shout out to Tommy. And then I had got 2 gifts, 2 surprise snakes from KG and D of Bomb Projects. It started off, they've been cutting eggs on Instagram for a minute now, and I watched one of their egg cuts. I think it was supposed to be a Huffman, but it turned out that another snake, a GHI, probably sired instead of the Huffman. And so all the babies came out GHI except for like 2 of them. And so so he said mystery snake, the mystery snake that we don't know is going to be $100 ship. So I DM'd them and I said, put that $100 mystery snake, put my name on that snake, that's mine. And he was like, cool, I got you. And so I went ahead and sent them the money for it. And then all of a sudden I get a DM and said, hey, we want to send you some more snakes. What are you working on? And so I told them, my dark mode project, the dark genes that I'm investing in. And they sent me two surprising snakes that not only going to be used in dark mode project, but going to be used in my pie project. And I will show them off in their own vlog. But I'll tell y'all right now, since y'all are here on the podcast early this morning, they sent me a male double head, 100% double head, pied and DG, and a female yellow belly, 100% pied, pos head, 100% head pie, and pos head DG. So I could breed those two together and get some great bangers, but I also have other pies, for that male who's 100% double head pie. He could go to the snake that I just got from Mike from Her Collectors, because she's a pastel pie. And there are some more. And then for the female, the yellow belly head pie, I have my pinstripe head pie that I won at Keys Constrictors 2K giveaway earlier this year, back in February. He can go to her. So I have multiple choices on where I want to take my pie project. So thank you so much, KG and D, for those 2 gifts. And I can't wait to get my mystery snake. We call it the mystery snake because when they cut the egg, they had no idea what it is. From that Huffman slash GHI clutch that they cut last week. So I cannot wait. Let's see, I'm behind the comments. Has anyone watched the new episode of Loki? Not yet, Ken. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch it this week. If I don't watch it this weekend, I'm definitely going to watch it this week because I'm out on fall break. So I get to relax. I'm not traveling. I'm not working. So if I don't watch it, I'll probably end up watching it Sunday because, Sunday my dad watches football and he and I usually watch all the Marvel stuff together. I'm not waiting on him. I'm starting Loki before him. So, I'm going to watch it because I'm excited. I love the Loki show. Season 1 was amazing. Yeah. To be honest, I never watch TV either unless it's something I really, really like. Like if there's some shows that got new seasons that are like Big Mouth on Netflix. Their new seasons dropping in a couple of days. I'm going to be watching that, but I'm usually, yeah, I'm with you, Nicole. TikTok, YouTube. I'm listening to podcasts. My TV has not been cut on in a long time. Even on the streaming apps like HBO Max and stuff, it's on my phone. So why do it on the TV? Um, let's see. Yeah, yeah. Oh yes, and also, yep. Uh, Oh, that's dope. Thank you, Ken. Also, Ken, I have for those who don't know, I'm also got an Exantic mail to go with. I'm not gonna say it's a surprise. It's another surprise that I'm paying off on, but I'm super excited. Actually, no, I'm not even paying off on it. I got it because I'm part of the V Unit Instagram group, and I accumulated enough money to get us. I accumulated enough money, a credit to get a snake from Emilio Villarino. So I'm excited. I'm excited. But that Exantic boy is gonna Ken is gonna he's gonna be putting in some work in the future. But I'm excited. I'm excited. I will hit you up about when we can ship and stuff. But yes, I'm super, super excited. So I think that is enough housekeeping. Any other surprises or any other new snakes, they will have their own individual vlogs recorded. Um, because I want to do one because I want to have more content on the channel instead of doing a big huge video, just condense them down to shorter videos. But let's go ahead and get into the topic of true crime and the good, the bad, and the most disrespectful. What up, Brandon? Good morning. Good morning. And so our first topic of today, to kick off horror month, spooky season, the good and bad of true crime. So, true crime. And true crime is another one of those genres that it's a wide variety. True crime is just the big umbrella, but there's multiple mediums. Like we all know the classics like the Law and Order shows. Everybody love those. SVU is the GOAT. But also their documentaries, their fictional TV shows and fictional movies based off a crime that's actually happened. Netflix is big on that. They have a huge roster of documentaries. HBO Max does too. Huge roster of documentaries based on the covering true crime cases. But then what people don't get a lot of credit for, but it's huge, is YouTube. YouTube, there are so many YouTube channels that talk about strictly true crime. From podcasting to just straight up documentary style, or my favorite, Bailey Sarian. She started a whole trend of women sitting down, putting on their makeup and talking about crime stories that happen. She's the goat of it. And then she got a whole bunch of imitators and copycats, but some of them are pretty good too. I watch some of them too. I don't wear makeup, don't like makeup, but just to sit there and watch them put on their makeup while talking about a crime that happened, whether it's old history or something current. It's pretty entertaining. So I have always been a big fan of true crime, but in the recent years, there's been some content that I find very distasteful, and not even to the filmmaker. Well, some of it, yes, to the filmmaker's faults, but some of it's not even the filmmaker's faults. It's the audience. It's like they totally missed the mark on why this content was created. And if you looked at my thumbnail, looked at my promo, you know the biggest and most recent example was Ryan Murphy's true crime stories. For those who don't know, and I'll be talking about Ryan Murphy on next week's episode because of his big hit American Horror Story TV show. But he did true crime. He's now doing American Crime Stories or something like that. He did last year, a year before last, with the Versace case, talking about, and also the O.J. Simpson case. In the most recent, and I feel like the most distasteful, that I did not even partake because I did not want to supported was the um Ted, not Ted Bundy. What's that other guy? I always get these two idiots mixed up. Uh, um, hold on, with Evan Peters. Sorry, y'all. Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer. Thank you. I always get him and Ted Bundy mixed up, as far as serial killers, cause I don't know. I just always mix those twos up. The Jeffrey Dahmer story. But yeah, I did not watch that show, and I'm glad I didn't because one thing about that show that made it a big hit is that people, one, it was over dramatized, over sensationalized, and two, people started to worship and fall in love with Jeffrey Dahmer, or at least the actor playing Jeffrey Dahmer. And it kind of, the social media post was crazy. It kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Like people were like, "Oh my gosh, Jeffrey Dahmer's cute," and all this other. And I was like, "What? He was a serial killer that killed and ate people. Like that murdered people, had them in his freezer and ate them. Like it got to the point to where, and this is what I feel like is the bad and ugly of true crime content, is when the content doesn't even focus on the victims. It focus on the monsters. And it kind of, some of the contents kind of sympathize with the monster, kind of make them like, some of these shows nowadays try to make them the anti-heroes. Some of them try to make them sympathetic and like, oh, they had mental issues, or oh, they were abused as a child, yada yada yada. And it's like, yeah, that may be true, but there are a lot of people who are abused or got mental issues or grew up poor or had an incident that changed their life, but they did not become the monsters that Jeffrey Dahmer was. Like they did not eat people and become cannibals. And it's like, that's the issue I have. Like certain true crime, even the documentaries nowadays, documentaries they don't even hide their biases. Um, and even sometimes the documentaries can be tasteless, especially the ones on Netflix, because they they focus on the wrong thing. They don't honor the victims. Sometimes they don't even consult with the victims' families. Like some of these victims, they died young. They died when they were like teenagers or in high school or in college, and their parents are still alive. Their parents are still sad and grieving and suffering. And you, they have to go online and see people on Facebook and Twitter still talk about, oh, this guy was cute back in the day. Oh, I wish I could save him. And oh, da, 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 da. And he's just misunderstood, yada yada yada. But he killed their child. He killed their baby. And it's not just the Jeffrey Dahmers of the world, it's other famous serial killers who lived amongst us back in the day. And it's like their parents are still alive. Their siblings are still alive. Their loved ones are still alive. And they have to see the bullshit that y'all are posting on social media and the memes. You see everybody reposting that meme of Jeffrey Dahmer's character by the television saying, we're going to watch this movie and then you can go home, when we all know his victim never went home. He killed him right after the movie. And people insert different things, like they insert their favorite cartoon characters or their favorite football thing or whatever. Or hey, that meme has been going around the reptile community like crazy. That meme, because they'll insert a certain snake, a boa or a ball python, talk about you're gonna meet my snakes and then you can go home. And it's like nobody thinks of the victims or their families. It's all become a joke. It's all become a joke. It's become monetization. It's become, it just rubs me the wrong way. It just rubs me the wrong way. I'm like, like I get it. Some people find humor in tragic things. Some people use humor to cope with things. I use humor all the time to cope with my mental illness and things like that. But my issues are mine. I can't bring myself up to joke and create memes of someone else's tragic story. I just can't. And even just simply reposting it. Like there have been times where I would see those Jeffrey Dahmer memes and I always have to take a step back. Like as funny as some of it may be, I'm not gonna repost it because I don't want to be a part of that circus. I just don't. And I'm not trying to say I'm holier than thou. It just you never know what these people see. You never know who might see your post or who might see a post that you reposted. Like this world is big, but this world is also not so big. Like, and you may be a stranger to any of the victims of Jeffrey Dahmer, but with the internet, with social media, your joke might still hit the people that you may never have met or don't ever plan on meeting. And like I said, a lot of these victims were very young. And their parents, their family members are still alive to this day. Like when people make jokes about Columbine or any type of school shooting, or even if they don't joke about it, when people are online arguing about school shooters and gun rights and things like that. And I'm not going to get into that on the podcast, my feelings on that, because I know a lot of people who love their guns and they will fight tooth and nail over it. But it's like y'all are arguing back and forth, talking nonsense about an inanimate object, a weapon, but y'all don't think about the parents of the kids who were murdered down, like Sandy Hook, Columbine, the school in Florida. There's so many school shooters. I can list them all, but their families are still alive. Their parents are still alive. Their siblings are still alive. And when they go online, they see and y'all arguing tit for tat, and it's like, but my baby's gone, and they'll never come back. Y'all arguing about a dumb gun, but my baby is gone. And that's how I feel about true crime, and that's why I'm so conflicted because certain true crime um content like the documentaries of the world and stuff is good. And it's good to know the history. It's good to be informed. And I think it's very educational. Like I love history. I really do. Besides science, growing up, history was my favorite because I love learning about the past and seeing how humans acted back then and how they still act today. But we've gone so away from the PBS documentary style, the National Geographic documentary style, to now it feels more like reality TV show. It feels more like let's interview the killer, or let's interview the killer's girlfriend or the killer's wife, or let's interview the next door neighbor who might have smelled the bodies coming out. And it's like it we we are forgetting about the victims and that real people suffer from this. We're forgetting that real children, real human beings, real adults died because of these horrible people. And we're just seeing it as pure entertainment. They're like the gladiators, you know what I'm saying? That's why I wanted to talk about the good and bad of true crime. Cause I don't know. I don't think it should be taken away altogether. I don't think true crime content should never be made. I just feel like the filmmakers, the directors, the documentarians need to take a step back and ask themselves, why am I creating this? Like I wish Ryan Murphy, when he did the Jeffrey Dahmer story, took a step back and was like, why? Because with the OJ Simpson, say what you want, OJ Simpson story has been going on for years, ever since what was it, the 90s when he committed that crime. And yes, I believe he committed that crime. But let's not forget that he killed two people. Those two people's family members are still alive. And he was running around writing books, doing interviews on Twitter. When OJ Simpson finally got on Twitter, Twitter lost their shit. And people were like praising him and stuff. And I was just sitting back like, y'all really going crazy over a serial killer? Well, he was a serial killer, but he murdered two people. But some technicality, semantics, whatever. But y'all are having fun and happy that a murderer is on Twitter now, tweeting stupid shit. Um, and it's just weird. It's very, very weird to me. And I just wish these filmmakers and these content creators and even the I know actors, they gotta work, they gotta eat, and they're gonna take whatever job comes to them. But I feel like some of these actors, especially these big name stars who got a little power, a little say, could say something like, why are we portraying this character like this? Like, just ask yourself that question. Why are we making Jeffrey Dahmer sexy? Like, why? Why? You could The story of Jeffrey Dahmer and his victims is interesting enough without y'all trying to glamorize it and make it sensational. I'm sorry, y'all. I am behind on the comments. What up, Brandon? I can't watch that either. Yes. Yes. Let's see. I don't get how people feel sorry for them. Just like that dude that killed his wife and the two. Oh my gosh, Chris Watts. Oh my gosh. And the YouTube community went crazy. Like, if you ever watch any of the true crime content on YouTube, like I said, some are good, but some of it, it's like, that's another thing. Not even just true crime. There's this, I'm not going to say the name because I don't want hate to come their way, but there is several true crime people who I used to watch and I thought were part of the good. But when that whole submarine incident happened and those people died, those men died in the submarine, granted, me personally, I don't feel bad for them. But it was like, it wasn't even a day after that story happened. Wasn't even a day. Wasn't even 48 hours. And these content creators on YouTube automatically had submarine videos up and tried to make it like a documentary style, like trying to make it to where they were really just rehashing news articles, but like trying to recap backstories of all the 5 men that died on that ship. And it was like, they're granted they couldn't find their bodies, but it's like the moment the news hit, it wasn't 48 hours. It wasn't 48 hours and y'all already created money content with ads, with pre-roll ads. Like, you was just ready for the tuck to make money off this. You was like, "Oh my gosh, this is the big news of the day. Let's go ahead and capitalize on it. And here, we're selling this product and we're selling that product. Now let's get back to giving you the backstory of all the men that just died on this submarine that they still trying to search for the bodies." It was like, it that was so distasteful. I immediately unsubscribed to those people. I was like, "Really, y'all? Really?" Same with the girl who got murdered by her boyfriend while they were camping and they couldn't find him. The police were still searching for him. They couldn't find him yet, or his body. But so many YouTubers were making videos every day, updates and recaps and giving the backstory of her and her family, giving the backstory of him and his family. And I was like, y'all, her parents haven't even buried her yet. Her parents haven't even buried her yet, and y'all already making YouTube videos on this shit. Like, that's where the true crime community and the true crime content space has become. What else? The biggest news that happened? Something happened this year. Somebody got murdered this year, and Netflix already picked up a film about it. Like a not even a documentary. Like, they already got actors and a director and writers for it, and it just happened like maybe 2 months ago. A lot. It's just, y'all. They haven't even buried their loved ones yet. Like, I'm pretty sure most of these victims, their parents haven't got the birth certificate yet. And Netflix already, let's cast this actor, let's cast that actor, let's do this, let's do that, let's get this director. It will be on Netflix in about a couple of months after Stranger Things coming soon. And it's like, y'all, it's gotten crazy. Yes, that Chris Watts, yeah. Writing books. These people are writing books now. They're still being interviewed in jail. People making phone calls in jail, interviewing them. It's like, I don't want to hear about Chris Watts. I don't want to hear anything from him. The way he killed his wife and his daughters and just threw them in whatever that little machinery thing that at his job. I don't want to hear from you, fool. I don't want to hear none you had to say. It is how money's being made today. Yeah, you're right, Lady Tiz. You're really right. Make your thumbnail messy and you would 100 people watch as soon as you go live. Yeah, yeah. Yes, I learned that too. Even our news channels are horrible with reporting news. Yes, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. A lot. I don't even watch the news. I get a lot of my news from this one YouTuber who is very respectful, and I commend him on his work. His name is Philip DeFranco. I love Philip DeFranco and I recommend him to anybody. He just states the news a matter of fact. And if he gives his opinion, he will let you know beforehand. This is just my opinion. You don't have to listen to me and believe what I believe or whatever. But before he even gives his opinion, he's stating the facts of what happened. This what happened, this what happened, this what happened, this what happened. And I also love Philip DeFranco because if he's reporting news on something like, let's say a mass shooting happened, or let's say a murder happened, and it was a copycat of a murder of a previous murder. Like you could tell somebody had automatically was just doing this just to copy off someone else. They want to be like someone else. He does not give the shooters names because that's what most of these murders want. They want fame. They want their names out there. They want you to know, hey, I did this horrible thing for clicks and views, and he don't give it to them. He would just say this man or this woman is accused of or was found guilty of. He don't give them the satisfaction of saying their name because the news will say their names. The news will be like, let's just say, I'm just going to say Joe Blow. Joe Blow went and shot up a Walmart and killed 500 people inside a Walmart and then killed himself, or the police came and killed him. When Philip DeFranco give the news of that story, he not going to tell you Joe Blow. He will say a man or a Caucasian man or a black man. He will not give that killer, that murderer, the satisfaction of them being famous, being sensationalized and put out there. And that's why I watch him. Also, when it comes to news, as much as people hate Twitter or X, there are certain people who just state the facts in the tweets. They don't do the sensationalized clickbait titles and posts. They just say, hey, this is what happened. This is this. And, you know, the investigation is ongoing. And that's how I get it. I don't know a celebrity dies until it's posted on Twitter. I don't. I don't know none of that stuff. I don't know. Like the submarine story, did not know what was going on until Twitter, and it was like, why is submarine trending? Like I get on like why is that trending? And that's when I saw the news or whatever. But I don't watch the news because the news is just as over sensationalized about these crimes as these like the Netflix of the world or whatever. Ro, welcome, welcome. Thanks for tapping in. Ro is living his best life. He's traveling. He's seeing folks. He Ro down there in Georgia. I'm sorry if any of my kids kill their kids and husband. I'd want them to pay for their crimes. Well, yeah, true, true. Yeah, so I just want these content creators to do better. Not just the YouTubes, but the big movie companies, the big television companies, the big TV shows. And I just want them to do better and just think of the victims because the victims' families are still alive. And some true crimes, the victims themselves are still alive. They just got hurt real bad. Like there have been there have been some sensationalized crimes that been blown out of proportion or been made into movies or made into TV shows, and the victims are still living and they never got permission, consent, none of that. And so the filmmakers will use that based on a true story, um, quote to be able to tell these people's story without actually talking to the people who were involved. And I just feel like that's why I like that show. That one show, I Survived. That show is good because it's the victims telling their own stories. They're actually alive and they're giving permission, they're giving consent, they are there. They are telling you what happened and how they survived it. Whereas some of these other people, they'll just Tell the story and put based on true events, based on a true story, and don't notify the people who are actually involved in the crime. Like there are victims of Columbine, there are victims of these school shootings who got shot, who had to go through surgery. Or like I'm not going to say school shooters. Let's use the Boston Marathon bombing. The Boston Marathon bombing, everybody remember that. Huge news. A lot of people, there were a lot of people who survived that. A lot of people who survived that. And there have been certain people who created content and made money off that tragedy, did not talk to not one victim. Not one person did not reach out to them, didn't even attempt it. They just, let's make this sensational story, do this actor, cast these actors as the brothers, make them look attractive so people can say, "Ooh, I feel bad for that killer, that person. I feel bad for them," and yada yada yada. And it's like these victims are still alive. Their lives have been destroyed. They got to deal with mental PTSD. They got to deal with the physical, like surgery. Some people have lost legs and limbs and stuff, and they just, it's like, it's just crazy that we just don't think about the victims. But I'm gonna get off my soapbox, and I'm glad that y'all are like tapping in and engaging with me in this conversation. But I just want all the creatives and filmmakers to do better. What up, Michaela? Thank you for tapping in. Michaela's Farm. Welcome, y'all. Um, it's just, it's crazy. But let's go ahead and get off that subject. I thank y'all for tuning in and listening to my rants. One second, y'all. I'm sorry, y'all. Could y'all still hear me? Can y'all still hear me in the chat? Is there a lot of noise in the background? Let me know. I may have to move, y'all. Sorry. Okay, great, great. Thank you. It's just a lot of noise in the background. Sorry, y'all. Just want to make sure. All right. So let's move on to the next subject. Okay, good, good. So these headphones are working great. Thank you. Thank you guys. Okay, so next subject. Because this is October, my favorite time of the year, Halloween, spooky season, I am going to share my favorite horror movies. And I know that later on this month, I will have some special guests, some people hopping on from the reptile community. I know Rock from Rock on Reptiles and a couple of other people want to tune in to certain episodes. And anybody in the chat, if you want to hop in on any of the episodes this month, let me know. But I will be letting other people come and share their favorite horror movies, horror TV shows, and things like that. Um, and even true crime. Um, but yeah, so but today I'm going to share my personal favorite horror films. Some old school stuff I grew up on and some um recent stuff, but we're going to start off with some of the OGs. Okay, thank y'all so much. Oh, nice, nice. Yeah. Great. Thank you, Ken. I'll chat with you and see if you could be on next week or the other 2 week episodes. Um, but sorry. So basically, I've been a fan of horror since my earliest, the first film I ever was introduced was Child's Play. Um It's Child's Play, Chucky, the very first one, and I it was one of those things where you're a kid, you're at your family's house. I was at my cousin's house, and I was supposed to be in bed. I was not supposed to be up. I was supposed to be asleep, not paying attention to anything. And I woke up, snuck out the room, and I saw my older cousins watching a movie. And my earliest memory, the only thing I remember is the I came in at the end of the Child's Play movie where Chucky was attacking the mom and the whole she was fighting and threw him in the fireplace. That's what I saw, and I was like, "What the heck is this?" I was probably like 8 or 9 years old, and I was like, "What the hell? Like, what is this?" And then my cousin saw that I was up, and they was like, get out, you're not supposed to watch this." It was one of those. So that was my earliest memory of a horror film, and I didn't see that film in its entirety until I was like in high school. But I vividly remember walking out the room, going in the living room, and seeing my cousins watch that film and seeing that imagery of that woman fighting that doll, and the doll had the knife, and she threw it in the fireplace and set Chucky on fire. I was just like, "What the hell are y'all watching?" Like that core memory still sticks out to me. But so that was so ever since then I was just intrigued with horror. And I will say, and this also I'm gonna go in depth with this next week with horror television. Is my first watching something that was kind of creepy, weird, and I looking back at it now, it's not horror, but to me it was because it was just weird and out of this world. And that was the original Twilight Zone with Rod Serling. I remember because back in the day, I was living with me and my mom was living with my grandparents, and they didn't have cable, and so you only had like 4 or 5 channels, and what was on was what was on, what you was watching. And after my grandma was watching her soap operas and things like that, and her Christian channels, at night after the news, the Twilight episodes of the Twilight Zone came on, and again, I'm supposed to be asleep, but I'm not. I'm up watching, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is creepy. There were certain episodes where there were aliens. There were certain episodes where it was, you know, a mystery and turned out that somebody was a murderer or something like that. And it was just weird. Like I said, looking back at it now, you watch Twilight Zone now as an adult, it's not horror, but to me it was more like sci-fi. Some episodes were psychological thrillers and stuff like that. Some were kind of like mystery detectives type stuff. But the one thing about the Twilight Zone is that every episode had a twist, whether it was a good twist or a bad twist. It always had a twist, and so those twists were like mind blowing. So me as a kid growing up watching, I was just intrigued, like what's going to happen at the end? What's going to happen at the end? And as a kid, I still didn't understand the context and the stories that Rod Serling was trying to portray and the moral stories, but I just thought that was the coolest, creepiest show ever. Then you got did from like middle school, high school was all about the TV shows for me. So I'm not gonna keep bringing up TV shows on this episode. But as far as movies go, I remember growing up in high school, going to the movies with my friends and seeing the very first Saw movie. Now, granted, we weren't supposed to be in there. We were like freshmen in high school, and some of these movie theaters got rules. You got to be accompanied by adults to go see a rated R film, yada yada yada. So me and my friends were out to go see a comedy. I forgot what comedy was out around that same time, but it was Thanksgiving. I remember that it was Thanksgiving. Me, my friends, my best friend, and my cousins went to the movies on Thanksgiving night after dinner to go see a movie. We went to go see a comedy. The comedy sold out, but we went and paid. So we did what a lot of kids do. You pay for one movie and go hop and see it something different. So we went and paid to go see some Disney movie because every Thanksgiving Disney drops a film every Thanksgiving and it fails. So we paid for like some Disney movie, but once we got into the theater, we hopped and went to another room, and that's when I saw for the first time Saw, the very first Saw with Jigsaw, whatever. And boy, when that twist happened, when that twist happened at the end, we were all in there cussing, screaming like, "What the world?" Like the man cutting his leg off and dragging his body out, and then the man you thought the whole time was dead got up. Man, that like blew my mind. I had to be like a freshman or sophomore in high school when that movie came out. Man, we went crazy in that theater, and ever since then, I was like hooked on the Saw franchise. Now, granted, the rest of these movies, I'm going to see Saw X. I am. I just haven't went yet, but all the films that came after the first Saw, some are hit and miss. Some I love, some I absolutely hate. But I became a fan of Jigsaw. That movie that hit me, that rocked me. I was like mind blown emoji. Um, Other films I liked growing up. Well, I can't say growing up, but older films from when I was younger, but I did not watch until I was older and adult. Of course, Friday 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. The Halloween movies, the classics, not the remakes and the remakes of the remakes, but the classics. I was in love. And then Scream, the very first Scream, classic. But the newer horror films now, there's been a lot of horror films to come out lately that's been kind of like they call it highbrow or indie horror, like the Hereditaries of the world. I'm be honest with y'all, when it comes to movie directors, I hate Ari Aster. I do not like his films. Hereditary is not as scary as people claim it was. Midsommar is not good. I'm sorry. Don't let these movie critics fool y'all into thinking that these highbrow horror films are the cream of the crop because they are not. It was very boring. I went to sleep on that movie. But the most recent horror films, when I say recent, I meant 20, let's say 2018 to now. Let's say that 2018 to now. Um, of course, Get Out. But even I love Get Out. I love Get Out. Get Out was my top movie of the year it was released. But in my opinion, my favorite Jordan Peele film um, that he has made was the next film after Get Out, which is Us. I love Us more than I love Get Out. To me, it's Us, Get Out, and then the other film that he released after that, with the aliens and stuff with Kiki Palmer and them. Um, I like Us as I love that movie. That was a good movie. What other newer films that's been out recently? Dang, I should have written all this stuff down like I did my favorite albums of music of the I should have written this down, but I do like some of I do like some of the remakes. I will say that. A lot of people hate remake movies. I do like some of the remakes or the requels where it's kind of like a remake, but it's really a sequel to the original. Like when they brought Halloween back with Jamie Lee Curtis, the first one I loved. I thought that was a great return. Um, I actually like the remake of Candyman. I love the original Candyman. Tony Todd is the goat. I love the original Candyman, but the remake was just as good in my opinion. Um, so I love that. I feel like people shit on remakes without giving it a try because they they held the original such high regards. But in reality, if you go back and watch some of the originals, like for example, the original Pet Cemetery. Now I love the Pet Cemetery movie, but the original Pet Cemetery, rewatching it now because I don't know why I went on a Stephen King binge. I know why. It was the It series, the remake of It, top tier remake in my opinion, with Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise. That to me, that's the best horror remake ever, in my opinion. I love it. But when that first movie came out, what was it, 2019 or 2020? Probably 2019, I think. Um, I went on a Stephen King binge, just started watching all the older Stephen King movies, like The Shining and stuff like that. And I will say, As much as I love the classics, a lot of the classics are corny. The stuff that came out in the 80s and early 90s, a lot of the stuff don't hit like it used to be. It hit back in the day, but a lot of stuff is corny, and some of the stuff is downright boring and snooze fest. So, some of these remakes I really really like, and I'm going to defend some of them. Now, some remakes are whack, and I'm not going to defend, but as far as like the it's of the world, I love it, and I am looking forward to seeing the new Exorcist remake. To me, exorcism movies don't really. It's like zombies. Exorcism movies do not scare me because y'all know how I feel about religion, and I just think it's weird and crazy to think that a demon possessed you. But I am curious to see how it holds up against the classic, and I can't wait to watch that. So I will be watching that, as well as the Saw X, the new Saw X, and I will do a review on those probably at the end of the month because I have already have the next couple of episodes planned. So I will give y'all my thoughts on those two films, those two remakes or requels, sequels, whatever, after I watch those. I'm gonna, because I'm out on fall break, I got time to go to the movies this week, all this week. And my dad really wants to go and see a couple of action films. So me and him are gonna have a movie theater marathon next week. Um, but yeah, of course, the Scream franchises. I love all Scream is my shit. I just love that meta shit, of the filmmakers making fun of the franchise and everything. Michaela said the newer ones are cheesy. A lot of them are. Not gonna lie, a lot of them are. um, yeah, the Saw series is fun. It's fun. It's good fun. Even the worst Saw films, it's still a lot of fun. Just seeing the traps and how they kill people. It's just so creative. Even if the traps don't make sense, because I'm not gonna lie, some of those traps in the Saw series, you like, how the fuck would that work? Or how does he know when he creates this trap that the person's gonna do this in order for the trap to be triggered, or do that particular thing in order for the trap to be triggered? It's just some of it makes no sense. You have to suspend your disbelief, but it's still a lot of fun to watch. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. Thank you, Ken. Yes, Us was good. Us was a good. I love Jordan Peele and his mind. Yeah, yeah. I'm not gonna lie. Rob Zombie is very hit or miss with me. I love The Devil's Rejects. The Devil's Rejects, that's a good movie. Um, and I do. I like that he went a different way when it came to his Halloween remake. Now his Halloween remake isn't the best to me. If I had to rank all the Halloween films, his would be on the lower tier. But I like that he took a different approach. He didn't just remake the same story over and over again. He took a different approach. His style and how he shoot his films were different, and the fact that he gave Michael Myers a cool backstory while still making him a fucking bad guy and a badass. I love it. So I agree, Ken. Rob Zombie is pretty good. He's pretty good, even if I'm not a big fan of some of his work. um I can't knock the guy because at least he thinks differently. A lot of these directors do the same cookie cutter stuff over and over and over again and have no creativity whatsoever. At least with him, he tries. He tries. And when he hits, when he does something good, it's good. Um so yeah, let's see. I was excited about the Halloween when I seen it continue on. Yeah, yeah, and the fact that they had, because back in the day, especially in the '90s and early 2000s, Jamie Lee Curtis was like, "I'm over it. I'm done. Stop calling me. I'm not. Laurie Strode is over. Let's kill that character. We done." And for them to get her back, and you can tell when actors actually love their job and love what they're doing. To see her come back as an older Laurie Strode and see how she acts in the last three Halloween films, it was great. The whole cast was great. The supporting cast, even this new Michael Myers, because everybody got their favorite Michael Myers. It's been like three or four guys to play that character since the first movie. Um, I like his rendition and his version of Michael Myers. Like it this was a good trilogy. This was a good trilogy. Even if it didn't end as strong as I thought it was going to end in the last film, I love uh Jamie Lee Curtis Jamie Lee Curtis character and how they pretty much ended her story, and it was I loved it. It was amazing. Other favorite films that I love. I'm trying to stick to the new stuff instead of the old classics because I think we kind of all agree on the old classics. They're classics for a reason. Um, I love the first Paranormal Activity. Now, the rest of the Paranormal Activities, well, the marked ones was pretty good. I love the marked ones. The marked ones was great. But for the most part, the rest of them were kind of just copying the first one. But I love the first Paranormal Activity film. I think they came out in like 2007. The Conjuring franchise, not the Nun. Fuck the Nun. The Nun movie is boring. Nun two boring. Um, the Annabelle films, they're all a part of the same franchise, but the Annabelle films, whack. She's a doll that don't even do shit. At least with Chucky, he's actually doing shit. He's talking, he's running around, he's murdering. Annabelle just sits there and stuff just happens to happen. Like Annabelle is the weakest evil doll in all of horror in cinema. But The Conjuring 2, The Conjuring 3, peak. I love those films. Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga as the medians who are based on real people. They are great. The Warrens, yeah, the Warrens, and whether you believe the Warrens actually could speak to the dead and stuff or not, or whether they just con artists, that's neither the real people I'm talking about. That's neither here or there. How Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga played those people, those real life people in the Conjuring film, I loved it. I love their dynamic, love their chemistry. They killed all the Conjuring movies, but the Conjuring is amazing. Um, and there's one more film before I end. Oh, Doctor Sleep. Doctor Sleep. Doctor Sleep came out in 2019. For those who don't know, Doctor Sleep is another one of those Stephen King adaptations. And it's pretty much a sequel to The Shining. Now, um, and it was made by Mike Flanagan. Mike Flanagan is one of those directors who is he I'm gonna be talking about him a lot next week too, along with Ryan Murphy, because Mike Flanagan and his horror television shows, Chef's Kiss. Chef's Kiss. He got a new show coming out on Netflix. I think this month or next month. Woo, I'm excited. I am so excited. But Mike Flanagan, he did Doctor Sleep, which is a sequel. Doctor Sleep was a sequel book written by Stephen King to The Shining, following the little boy as an adult and him using his shining to help a little girl that was pretty much in the same predicament he was in the first book. And so Mike Flanagan adapted that book as a sequel to the movie. That movie is so amazing. It is so amazing. Everybody involved. Rebecca Ferguson as the bad guy, the villain. It was just everybody, the little kid, the little girl that had to go through this and had to be pretty much saved by the bad guys who it was just it was written great, the cinematography was great, the acting was top notch. I love Dr. Sleep. Dr. Sleep, if I had to rank a top 10 of my favorite horror, um modern movie horrors, Dr. Sleep would be 2 or 3. Top 2 or 3. It's not gonna be top one, but it's 2 or 3. I love it. Oh, what up, Jay? Welcome, welcome. Yes, feed the baby, Michaela. Feed the baby. What's up, Jay? Thanks for tapping in. So yeah. So I said what? Doctor Sleep, it, us, the Conjuring franchise, not including the Nun and Annabelle movies. Um, the remakes to Candyman and the remake to Halloween, the remake to It, um, and then I forgot. Ooh, I forgot another Mike Flanagan directed film, and it's also based off a book from Stephen King, and it's on Netflix, or it was on Netflix. I don't know because Netflix like to make stuff disappear, but it came out in 2017, and that is Gerald's Game. Now, to me, that was more of a psychological thriller. That was more on the psychological side than it was straight up horror. But woo, I never knew a woman being tied up to a bed, sitting next to her dead husband would be so entertaining. um, but that movie, it was great, and that's the synopsis. I'm not gonna give away what all happened in the film, but you had a couple, trying to get their freak on, trying to have fun, and the woman's tied up to the bed, and the husband has a heart attack and dies. Now, how Mike Flanagan made that film so good and entertaining to the point where I'm just like, what the hell? What the, like I did not cut that shit off. I had to watch it from I did not cut it off. I was glued to my phone for whatever hour and a half, 2 hours that movie was. And it was acted well, it was written well, it was directed well. And it just shows when Stephen King is in his good writing bag, when he's actually not strung out on coke and he's actually writing something creative and fun. Gerald's Game was that shit, man. Gerald's Game was whoo, that was good. If you're not into the gruesome horror or the slashes, you don't care about somebody getting stabbed and stuff like that. You like the psychological stuff. Watch Gerald's Game. It was exclusive on Netflix. Don't know if it's still on there. That shit was good. I highly recommend that. Gerald's Game. Now looking back, Gerald's Game is probably my number one modern horror. Modern, not including none of the classics. Gerald's Game was that shit, man. I was glued. I was glued. And Gerald's Game is also one of those movies where I saw the movie before I realized the source material. And once I watched that film, I Googled Gerald's Game and I saw that it was based off a book written by Stephen King. I was like, makes sense. Makes sense. Stephen King's the GOAT. Stephen King's the GOAT. Whether it was his crazy strung on coke stories that he can't remember ever writing, or the stuff that he do remember writing, he's the goat. Stephen King is one of the goats of horror, and suspense. Aw, Ken, you don't like the new or old It's? Oh man. Well, teachers on. Hey, I can't. It's not for everybody. I think I love it one because of both stories, part the old and the new. The kid actors are always the best, and I love seeing their stories and how they overcame all the bullshit they had to deal with their family and stuff, and the monster, and the metaphor of it, of the monsters in their life, and they had to defeat the monster of it to help them conquer their fears over their like abusive family household or the school bullies and stuff like that. But also both men that played Pennywise. Tim Curry is the goat. Tim Curry, I love that man. Everything he has ever touched has been gold. He is one of the top actors of the world. I hate that his health condition has gotten so poor to where he can't act anymore. And I'm not gonna lie, we might not have him long on this earth, but Tim Curry, his catalog and his body of work is amazing. And I think his rendition of Pennywise is one of his greatest um, acting roles ever. And then, of course, Bill Skarsgård as the new Pennywise. I felt like he had some big shoes to fill. He really had some big shoes to fill. And instead of doing a, a copycat of Tim Curry, he made Pennywise his own monster, his own character. And the fact that I end up loving both Pennywises equally, even though they both were super different. But I get it. The It franchise, even the story itself, the books themselves, isn't everybody's cup of tea. It isn't. There are some people who hate the book and feel like it's one of Stephen King's worst. I've heard that before. So I get it, Ken. I get it. I can't knock you, but I personally love the It franchises. Um, and I'm not terrified of clowns. I'm not, but it's just how Tim Curry and how Bill Skarsgård made clowns creepy. Like I have no fear of clowns. If I see a clown in anything, I'm a laugh. Clown, like I be going to haunted houses, and every haunted house has a killer clown somewhere walking around or in a maze or in a corn maze, so like that. I laugh every time. I do not find them scary, but in film, the way those two men carried those roles, they did excellent. Um, yeah, yeah. Gerald's game was the shit. Can you are stupid? I've never letting a woman tie me up again after that. I don't. No, no. Nobody can tie me up. Period. But after watching that film, it's like, damn, something that ended up supposed to be a romantic, um, good time ended up being tragic because your loved one had a heart attack and you're stuck. You cannot move at all. Can't even call 911. And then when that dog came, oh my gosh, I saw, Lord, the dog gonna kill. He gonna eat the body. He gonna eat the body. Oh God. Terrifier. Oh yes. Oh my gosh, Terrifier. Yeah, that clown is creepy. I'm not gonna lie. Again, I'm not afraid of clowns, and when I see clowns, I laugh. But the Terrifier clown, he's a new force to be reckoned with. If anybody is afraid of clowns, they are gonna freak out with Terrifier. Killer clowns from outer space. Yeah, that's a classic. That is a classic. I'm not gonna lie. Uh, I think the movies are just slow and boring, except for 20 minutes. I get that. I get that. And a lot of people have that gripe about Stephen King for a lot of his films, not just the It story. A lot of his movies. I remember growing up watching what's that killer car movie, Christine, um, or Cujo with the killer dog. A lot of them, and even Pet Cemetery, the classic Pet Cemetery. Growing up as a child, I was freaked out by those films, but then when I went back to rewatch it, because I was like, oh, I remember watching that. I loved it. I loved that the dog tried to kill the woman and her child, whatever. Or I loved that the car was murdering people. Like, let me go rewatch it. When I rewatch it, it's like it's so much filler time, and I get it. He One thing about Stephen King that is a good thing, but also can be a bad thing, is that he tries to Stephen King tries to let the audience to know the characters first, which is a good thing. In a lot of because a lot of filmmakers don't do that nowadays, which is a good thing. When Stephen King write his books, you really feel for the characters. The characters are what makes the stories. And even the bad guys, he would give them a backstory to where you still hate them, but you're like, I understand. But I think um adapting a book, it's easy to read a Stephen King book, but to adapt the book into a movie or a TV show, you're going to have a lot of filler time to where it can be boring. Like when I went back and watched Cujo after many, many years of watching it as a child, with the killer dog, I didn't realize how boring the beginning parts were. Same with Pet Cemetery. Before the little boy was killed and they buried him in a pet cemetery to revive him, I didn't realize how boring the front half of that movie was. Like I was like, when we gonna get to the good part? We're gonna get to the fun part. We're gonna get back to the part that when I watched as a child, I was freaked out and had nightmares and could not go to sleep. You know what I'm saying? So I get it, Ken. Yeah, I understand that gripe because again, something that is good in books doesn't always translate well into film and videos, and it is what it is. Um, that's why a lot of people say books are better than the movies. Um, it's very hard to adapt a book. or short story, because a lot of Stephen King's famous stories aren't even full length chapter books. They're short stories, and it's hard to make a 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 2.5 hour. I think that was like the second It movie. It's from a maybe 10-page story. You know what I'm saying? It's hard. You're gonna have a lot of filler, a lot of downtime. What's up, Candy? Good morning. Good morning. Welcome, Auntie. What up, Auntie? Glad you can make it. Texas Chainsaw Massacre freaked me out as a kid. Thought that people were was cut up other people, putting them in chili. Yeah, yeah. I will say, out of all the classic horror movie villains, like I finna say Freddie Mercury. Oh, God, Jesus. It's too early. This is what happens when you don't have breakfast. The Freddy Kruegers. The Freddy Kruegers and the Jason Voorhees and the Michael Myers of the world. I would say, out of all those classic films from back in the 70s and 80s, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is the weakest to me, in my opinion. I do love it for the gore. Now, the gore and the killings and stuff, I love it. But as far as the killer goes, the actual chainsaw stuff, he just never really meshed with me as far as villains go. And so, sorry, for coughing in the mic. It's just I don't. I just could not click. It just did not click with me. But it did make me afraid of Texas. I'm not gonna lie. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre for years growing up made me afraid to even travel to Texas, because I thought the whole state of Texas was like that movie, the rural area, raggedy houses, and you got people chopping people up. It was like Dallas and Houston and those metro cities never existed in my mind growing up, because I thought Texas was just that of that film. I was like, nah, I ain't going to Texas. Texas is where the murders are. Tommy Knockers, yes, Auntie, yes. I did not read the book, um, but I did kind of enjoy the TV show movie. I thought it was entertaining, but I did like it. I did enjoy it, but I bet the book itself, oh my gosh, I bet if I do read the book, um, I would love it, because the movie was pretty good. But yeah, Stephen King has some dope stories. He has some dope stories. Now, whether they translated to film or television, to be the hit or miss. But as far as his penmanship, his game, writing game, again, Stephen King is the goat of horror. Argue with your mama on that one. Yes, yes. Texas Chainsaw Massacre was the first true horror film. Well, I ain't gonna say true horror, because back in the day we had the Draculas and the Frankensteins, but true modern horror, yes, because that movie came out, what, 79, 78, or 79. That was the horror that we know today. Texas Chainsaw Massacre was the beginning. It was the first of its kind, the first of the first. And we horror movies have been rocking ever since. Um, and it kind of put them more at the forefront, where back in the day it was very, very, I mean, some people can argue that horror is a niche genre, but no, not today, not anymore. To me, it's not niche. To me, horror is mainstream for sure. Whether the Oscars want to award them or not, it does. Fuck the Oscars, but and their discrimination against horror and superhero movies, but horror is mainstream. Horror is top of the top genres now, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre was the first of the first. So I agree. I agree. Actually, you want to know what was before Texas Chainsaw Massacre? And what was first but never what was really first of the slashers but never gets its just due, or classics. um some documentaries have acknowledged it, but for the most part nobody acknowledged this film as the very first slasher horror, because of Texas Chainsaw Massacre and movies like that. And it was actually the movie that came out before it from Canada, and that is Black Christmas, the original Black Christmas. um where the man hiding in the attic of the house and killing all the sorority girls. That came out before Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That came out before a lot of these slasher horror films, but because it was from Canada, it wasn't from a major Hollywood studio. It was more of an independent film, and it did not get big and famous until many years later, where people call it a classic. But it really was the first. It was the first one of its kind, and then Texas Chainsaw Massacre, stuff like that. So I will have to shout out the OG Black Christmas for being one of the first ones to like really bring all this stuff to light, this genre to life. Movies that used to scare me so bad I laugh at now. Facts, facts. I said that earlier before you came in, Candy. A lot of films that I watched growing up. A lot of films that I watched growing up. Um, I look at now and I'm either falling asleep or I'm laughing my ass off. Like all the Stephen King movies, I have to push, except for the It series. I love the It series, and I love The Shining, but the rest of the old Stephen King movies, um, I have to force myself to watch the first 45 minutes to an hour because the beginning is so slow and boring, and all the cool shit that used to scare me come at the end, at the tail end, where you get the monsters or the killers. Rock, morning, Rock. Hopefully, Rock will hit one of these episodes, maybe next week or the week after. What up, y'all? Good morning. Good morning. Thank y'all for tapping in. I appreciate it. But yeah, yeah, I just wanted to share those some of my favorite. Let me make sure there aren't any others that I'm missing as far as modern horror that I love. And also for those in the chat, put down your favorite horror movies, because you might help me remember some stuff that I don't forgot. I will say the old school horror films, like the old school Dracula, the Swamp Man, and the old school zombies, the first Dawn of the Dead back in the 70s. I love those movies. As corny and cheesy as they are now, and as downright heinous as they are now, it's it's hilarious rewatching. Oh, I didn't talk about horror comedy. Because when I speak on horror, I mean all genres. So horror comedies, Zombieland, definitely my favorite. All the not all, the first three scary movies with the Wayans brothers, the the parody comedy movies, love, love, love. Those are my top tier. Just the first three. Now all the other scary movies that came after that, bullshit. And of course the Wayans brothers weren't even a part of those later ones. So it made sense why they were whack and wasn't funny at all. The Train of Busan, again, it's not a well, it's a comedy to me. Train to Busan is not a comedy, but it's a comedy to me because I don't take zombies serious. You know what I'm saying? I don't take zombie movies serious. Zombies do not scare me um at all. None of them do. So when I watch Train to Busan, and I believe it's Japanese horror, or Korean horror, please charge it to my head or not my and not my heart. Um, I don't want to offend the Asian community for not knowing which one it is, but it's a very good movie. It's acted well. If you need to watch subtitles and you don't like watching subtitles, shame on you. Cause I like watching movies even if I gotta watch subtitles, but it's very entertaining. It's a very entertaining zombie film. Where the zombie apocalypse happened and people are stuck on a subway train trying to get away from these zombies. Oh my gosh, that movie was amazing. But again, I don't find zombies scary. So I laughed on parts I shouldn't laugh at. Like when people were getting killed by these zombies, I was laughing my ass off. But it's very entertaining. And if you are creeped out by zombie movies, I think you will love Train to Busan. Very, very good. Um Zombies are just cracking. Candy, I can't stand you. Blackening, yes, yes. Blackening just came out this year, and I finally watched it. I didn't watch it when it first came out, but I finally was able to watch it. I actually loved it. Loved it. Sharknado, all 50 of them. Man, is it really feels like it's 50 Sharknado movies. I'm not gonna lie. I think they were just churning it out. Candyman, classic. It, classic, yes. Man, oh my gosh. But Sharknadoes, all of them. Just best comedy gold. I just love that. But Candy says zombies are just crackheads. That is true. That's why I don't find them scary. I do not. I be going to haunted houses and haunted mazes in Memphis and one in Nashville. I love a lot. And when the zombies are popping out trying to scare you, I just laughing my ass off. I do not find zombies serious in film or in real life. Even if the zombie apocalypse was to happen in real life, I'll probably be one of the first to die because I'll sit there and laugh at them coming towards me like a dumbass. I'm like, really? Really? Or I'll be like my favorite character on The Walking Dead and have them with collars and a chain walking around with them like they my dogs. Oh God. Warm Bodies. Yeah, yeah, Warm Bodies was a good one too. Yeah, I enjoyed that. That was a cute little movie. I thought Cloverfield was awesome. I forgot about Cloverfield. Oh my gosh. I forgot about that film. That was pretty good. Yeah, it was in one of those first few. The first Clover films was one of those first few. One of the first few what's that genre called? Found footage. Found footage. Kind of like um the paranormal activities of the world where you see it from the person's point of view holding the camera. Yeah, the first Cloverfield was fire, fire. I loved it. Very good. I love found footage movies. Um Drag Me to Hell. Oh my gosh, Drag Me to Hell came out in 2009. I was what was into the I was a sophomore in college. I love that movie. That woman. Now I didn't feel like she deserved being cursed by the old gypsy lady, but she kept doing stupid shit. She just kept doing stupid shit to make matters worse. And in the end, when she really got dragged to hell for real, when she thought she won, perfect ending. Perfect, perfect ending. Oh my gosh, the classic found footage, the Blair Witch Project. Classic. Again, I was in middle school when I saw that for the first time. And funny enough, my first time watching that movie, it was at a church retreat. It was at a church retreat, those little youth camps and that parents sent us off to make us get closer to Christ. um me and my friends were all in the cabin. It was like, let's watch a movie, let's watch a movie. And somehow our camp counselor decided that a scary movie like the Blair Witch was a good idea to a bunch of kids at a youth retreat. But thinking back on our counselors, they weren't pastors, they were teenagers, those forced to babysit us. But man, that movie freaked me out. I did not sleep that whole retreat. I was scared as fuck, especially because we were in the woods and watching that movie. It was like I had nightmares for days. But yeah, Blair Witch Project was a classic. It had me shook for weeks. Yep. Yep. Classic found footage. Oh, another modern horror movie I almost forgot. Ready or Not. Came out 2019. Ready or Not. If you have not seen Ready or Not, you need to. It's on somebody's streaming service, or you could probably rent it on Amazon. It's a film. I'm not going to spoil it, but if you have not seen Ready or Not, it's a film about a woman who gets married and into a family, and her husband go meet the parents and the siblings, and they play a game of Ready or Not where the family has to hunt her. It's kind of like hide and go seek. She has to hide and they have to find her and they have to kill her. And the reasons why they had to do it, they had to play the game and kill her or chase her down. I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to spoil it for you in the twist at the end. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but that movie was amazing. So good. I loved it. I had fun. It's more of an action, a horror action movie. But Just imagine getting married to the love of your life and you go meet their family and let's say, hey, let's have game night. It's game night. And then you realize the game is them trying to kill you. Woo. I watched a lot of scary stuff when I was young. Yeah, I feel you, Auntie. I feel you. To be honest, I don't watch a lot of stuff much now because I'm so busy. I have to force myself to actually sit down and watch a movie or a TV show now because of these reviews that I've been doing. It's like it become a job that I have to force myself to watch so I can have something to talk about. But I will say because I was supporting the writers and the actors for their strike, that's why if you haven't noticed, I haven't done any real reviews lately. All these past episodes have been talking about the entertainment industry or certain topics from like movies and genre and music is because I'm supporting the actors and the writers and their writer strikes. So I'm not talking about any I'm not reviewing any content from the major studios and like, pretty much bigging up or praising them because they're on strike. But and so because of the strike, I've gotten a break from forcing myself to watch movies to review it. I've enjoyed this break a lot. One, because I get to talk about other topics in entertainment, but two, because I'm so busy with all my jobs, I just don't have time to go to a movie theater and sit down and watch these movies. The last movie I saw this year in a theater, sitting down in the theater, was the Little Mermaid remake. And even though I enjoyed it, it's just the traveling to the theater, sitting down in a movie theater and for 2 hours. I'm over that shit. I love streaming because I could just sit at home on my phone and watch. Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Ken. And it's all good because I'm about to end the stream myself. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. For those who came in late, please hit the replay where I talked about true crime shows and movies, the true crime genre, and the good, the bad, and the ugly of it. So if you missed that segment, please go back and watch it. I really appreciate it. And for everybody who tuned in, those who came in, I really appreciate y'all tapping in and being committed. Like, some of y'all have been watching me since episode 1, and the fact that y'all get early on Saturdays to do it, I appreciate it. I love y'all. And again, let's shout out our sponsors, Mutation Station and Lucy Land. Again, best rodent breeders, feeder breeders in the Mid-South. Argue with your mother on that. And awesome ball python breeders, snake breeders. A lot of my new snakes that I'll be introducing y'all soon on my Snake Prince vlogs are coming from them. So shout out to them for sponsoring the channel and for always supporting me. Soon. I think we're like 14 days away from my first clutch pipping. We're almost at day 55. So I think we're like 14 days away from the egg cutting, and that will also either be a vlog or a live or both. I might do both. I might record a vlog, but also go live on like Instagram or maybe Key's channel if it happens to fall on a Friday night, where we cut the eggs. It's only 4 eggs, but my first clutch is happening soon. My very first clutch, and they are right now at Nikki's house being incubated. So shout out to Mutation Station for taking care of my grandbabies while they're in the incubator and keeping them nice and toasty and warm. So yeah, my channel sponsors, they are my family. I love them. I rock with them for life. And can't none y'all tell me negative on them because they my people. So thank y'all so much. Tune in. I think Lady Tiz is going live at noon. Nicole, if you're still watching, let me know. But I think she's going live today at noon, my time, Central Time. And then later on this evening, hopefully, because is at Tinley, living his best life, but sophisticated ignorance. I believe they are going live tonight at 10 p.m. We'll see if Wiz will be live from Tinley or not, but whether it happens, please tune in for that because I love that podcast. I love Wiz Tank Clan. I love y'all. Um, him and Joey D are a great dynamic, and everybody that they bring on to the show, Greg and Pressure Pythons. Also shout out to Ken who was in the live earlier in the chats. He has R Reptiles, um WRO uh his podcast, as well as the Get to Know Me show. Um his podcasts are great. He has the Tuesday night and I believe Thursday nights. I love Ken's both his podcasts, and then also Auntie and Uncle, Celtic. They got their podcast on Monday, podcasting on Under the Influence. And this week we got the Father Dunn D as a guest, so please tune in, support Father Dunn. Oh, and today, Kent's Craft Brewery Morphology, Kent's. His show is maybe I want to say 4 p.m. my time. 4 p.m. my time. Um, Dundee is also a guest on that show today. So after this, watch Lady Tiz at noon. Watch Kent at 4, and Sophisticated Ignorance at 9 or 10 p.m. depending on your time. Then Monday, what up, Kyra? And then Monday podcasted on the Influence. Dundee is a special guest with my auntie and uncle, um, Angie and Jeff. And then, of course, Rock with Snapes and Vapes. Now, I don't know if Rock, if you're still in the chat, if Rock's going to have an episode Sunday. If he doesn't, please tune in Tuesday where Rock, me, Candy, Dundee, and Mikey will be on our show. Beyond the Scales. I be wanting to say the Wild Bunch show. It was so bad, but that's not the name of it. Beyond the Scales. So please tune in on Tuesday. We will be there live. I may not be in charge because I got kicked because I ended the live prematurely. 2 shows in a row. So I'm sorry, y'all. I'm not good at lives. So being in charge of live shows. So but please tune in Tuesday. And then every week there's a podcast. If I miss your podcast, charge it to my head, not my heart. Oh, Nicole and Dre, Monday mornings, 2 peas in a pot, Monday mornings, great way to start your week off. And again, I usually watch them as I'm walking into work, but since I'm on fall break, I get to sleep in, but I'm gonna wake up and watch them live and then go back to sleep this Monday. But yeah, there's a show every night. There's a show every night. Support everybody. And I'm gonna say even support the podcasters that I don't like. The clowns down under and everybody else. The podcasters that I don't care for. Support them too. Support them too. Support everybody. Support the family. Be like Bosa. Don't be like me, who is petty and will not watch a show and shit on this show at the same time. Don't be like me. Don't be petty. Be like Bosa. Support everybody. Watch and support everybody. But that is it. I'm done blabbing. I will talk to y'all later, or I will see y'all in the chats of everybody else's podcast. Y'all know it'll be me when y'all hit the your. But anyways, and be on the lookout either Monday or Wednesday. I'm gonna drop a vlog introducing some of the new snakes that I just got this week. They're settling in their quarantine right now, so I'm not gonna bother them. But I've already introduced one on yesterday's vlog, Snake Prince Vlogs. But Monday afternoon or Wednesday, I'm gonna do a second video introducing another snake that I just brought home. But thank y'all so much. Oh, lastly, C Jones, Cairo. If y'all watch I believe they have been a guest on 2 of my Snake Cinema podcast episodes, Cairo. They are starting their own podcast. So please go on YouTube. I believe it's called podcast by Cairo, Cairo. Follow them, support them, please. That's the homie. They are going to start podcasting on Mondays. And it's not going to be reptile related, I don't think. No, Cairo's going to talk about other things that they love and that interest them. And they're senior in high school. They're one of the biggest supporters of not only me, but Rock and a bunch of other people in the reptile community. Um, they are the child of Candy. So shout out to Candy for having an amazing child. Please support the little homie Cairo podcast by Cairo on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel, and I believe they are going to be premiering on Monday. Maybe not this Monday, but go follow them on YouTube and Instagram. Captured by Cairo on Instagram. Um, and just support the homie. Just please support the family, support everybody. I love y'all. This has been Prince Elias on Snake Cinema Podcast, and I will check y'all later. Peace.